What if we looked at games in a different light? If we covered them from a way that wasn't looking necessarily at the lore and we were ignoring the canon and the dev interviews and all of that extra stuff? What if we were trying to use games to understand our own world better and try to breach topics that were sometimes a little bit more difficult to breach? Welcome back to Lost in Games Unscripted, the videos where I just kind of sit down and talk about whatever I feel like talking about on the channel. Everything from movies, TVs, game shows? Well, I guess I could talk about game shows at some point. Video games, books, and then everything else that I can think of under the sun. It's a video series that I've been working on to try to get more videos out, and it's something that I want to try and expand the channel's horizons with. So the question that I opened up on was one that I thought about a lot a couple years ago, and probably about 3 or so years ago is when I really started to kind of, it is eating away at me in my mind. I had a different YouTube channel that I was working on, my old main channel, as a matter of fact, and I was trying to find things that would hit, and I was trying to figure out and try different styles of videos, different things. I kind of wanted to talk about video games in a way because I've always enjoyed playing video games, even though I'm not really a gamer. But I've always looked at them differently, right? So I was trying to figure out a way that I could talk about games that would kind of stand out. Most people, most channels on YouTube in the past decade and a half, nearly 2 decades now that YouTube's really been growing strong, when games have been discussed or covered on YouTube or online in general, there's been reviews of games. There has been playthroughs, let's plays, that kind of thing. There's been people kind of making fun things and doing different, skits and having fun and expanding on doing different things within the games, within the worlds of the games, making the characters funny or stupid or whatever. So it's been covered from a million different angles as far as video games are concerned. And when I started thinking about, how, because with the way my mind works, I like to dig in, I like to come up with new ideas. I like to try to discover things that nobody else has talked about or discovered. And so when I tried to do that with games, I realized that there was just so many other ways that things have been covered over the years that there wasn't much new that I could bring to the gaming sphere. Maybe I could make some funny jokes, but millions of people had already done that. Maybe I could dig into the lore of the games and look at the creepy parts of the games. Like I have a Legends and Tales, or a series called Legends and Tales that I've done over the years on my other channel, where I delve into real world mysteries, history, ghost stories, that kind of thing, and uncover the true story behind them. So I thought maybe that could be kind of cool, but that's been done every way that it can possibly be done. And so I was trying to think, like, what could I possibly do that would be that much different that I would still enjoy doing? And that's when the idea of the Philosophy and Ethics in Games series came up. I thought, okay, what if we took the games that I love playing, and I just started digging into them and tying them to the real world, ignoring the lore, ignoring the canon, because I've personally never cared about the lore and the canon for things. I just don't. If you do, that's awesome for you. I love that. I know there's a lot of people out there that do. Game lore is one of like the biggest things talked about online. But I don't care about the lore. I don't care much about the backstories. I don't care about the canon, what is canon, what isn't canon, the 15 million different dev interviews that we're given that we're talking about, this little thing that, fans have been asking this question, so we're going to give this answer in this dev interview. Like, I just don't care about those things. I like the games as they're portrayed. I like to look at them, and I like to think about them in ways that are kind of outside the box. So when I first started the Philosophy and Ethics in Games series, it was over on my other channel. I had like 3 or 4 videos, a little bit talking about Fallout 4 and a little bit talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. And those videos did okay, but they didn't really go anywhere. And I had a million other things going on at the time, so I really couldn't carry them on. And I wanted to get back into the Legends and Tales stuff that I was doing, because I really enjoy, I was uncovering old, like, legends from the state of Ohio and elsewhere that were just like that people had built up over the years as ghost stories and stuff. And I was finding the real stories behind them, newspaper clippings, and going back and looking at things from 150 years ago in the newspapers to figure out what actually happened for certain things. I was loving that. And so that kind of took my focus. Then last year, my son had gone through some surgery. He just got out of the hospital. I was kind of in a not a great place mentally. And I was trying to think of like, I just wanted to have some fun. I wanted to do something different. And I'd been playing the Walking Dead game again. And I was like, you know what? What if I did a philosophy and ethics series, bring that back, but I'll put that on my, what's become my gaming channel. And it took off. It took off in a big way. To the point where the Walking Dead videos were doing really well last year, until to the point where I got monetized. I've been trying to get monetized on YouTube for 3.5 years, and I finally got monetized on this channel. And that was so cool, and I was so excited about that. But there's been some things over the past year, a little over a year, that I've been uploading the Philosophy and Ethics and Game series that have really irked me at times. And so I wanted to kind of do a retrospective, talk a little bit about those things, and focus on a couple of primary points that are important to me, that matter to me. Because at the end of the day, the Philosophy and Ethics and Game series is like the deep down inside of me, the way that I look at the world, the way that I see things. So what I do is I'll sit there and I'll look at a game and I'll say, okay, well, there's stuff in the real world that lines up with this. And Batman, the Batman series is what really got me wanting to make this video in the past week. The first episode of the Batman game came out last Thursday in the Philosophy and Ethics and Game series. And I had several comments on there from people that were really berating me in a way. The comments I've removed, but they were berating me for ignoring the lore in their eyes. And when I say ignoring the lore, I talked about how Bruce Wayne has charities, how the rich friends of his all have charities, right? But there was people still in the comments section that were still saying, well, you know, Bruce Wayne has charities. He gives money back. He does all these great things. I'm like, that's wonderful. That's great. I am glad that you read the comics and watched the movies and you're so into it. But in reality, I'm not talking about any of that. I try to be as clear as I can when I make these videos. I try, especially when I start a new series, to be like, hey, look, just as a reminder, this isn't about the game or the lore or any of that stuff. This is about tying it and using games as thought experiments to discuss real world things. And in the real world, there are a lot of very, very wealthy people who spend their time fighting against legislation that would help bring other people up in society and make things better, while also giving to charities and saying how great they are because they give to charities. So that was the conversation point. And I've done that with many, many videos. I did that with the Grand Theft Auto series. I did that when I was talking about the Life is Strange games. I did that when I was talking about even Fallout 4 and that kind of thing. Red Dead Redemption 2 we brought up. I brought up the disparity between the rich and the poor in Red Dead Redemption 2. And what I thought was a really unique way when we were at the Mayor of Saint Denis' house. And a lot of that, I feel like it's one of those things where I'm worried with that series that some of that stuff is going to just be like so far up above what most people think of when they think of games. And it makes it really difficult to keep the series going. It makes it really difficult to say, yep, we're going to upload the next video. We're going to put the next thing out, because every single video, every single series, I get these people that come in that love the games, that love the lore, that love the worlds of the characters, but for some reason, and I don't know what exactly it is, just seem to overlook what I say. They overlook the nuance when I'm talking about certain things. They overlook what I'm saying completely. And that's not everybody, because there's certainly several people that have seemed to really enjoy the concept, have seemed to really buy into it and love it. There's even people that have caught on to certain things when I'll be mentioning, hey, this thing in the game world is really off, and it doesn't make any sense. It's a bad thing. And I'll have people like, oh, that actually matches up with what's going on in real life. That's the whole point. Because a lot of times when it comes to more serious things, whether it's political things or religious things or things that people tend to attach themselves to very, very, make their identities out of, those things tend to be very difficult to broach as topics. So it's hard to talk about politics, because the minute you start talking about politics, the minute people shut down. If you get up on any situation and you tell people, I am a liberal or I'm a conservative, I'm a progressive, I'm a libertarian, whatever it happens to be, there's a large chunk of people out there that the minute you state that, they shut down. They don't want to have the conversation anymore. They're done talking. They're done listening. So my goal with the Philosophy and Ethics in Games series is to get past that line, to get people really, really thinking and saying to themselves, oh yeah, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And maybe then connecting those dots. And if they hold a real world view that doesn't make any sense, that is harmful, that they would maybe be able to say, hey, actually this conflicts with my view, and ideally get over the cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, if you don't know what it is essentially when you hold two conflicting viewpoints. One is based on facts and reality, and the other one is based on feelings, how you feel about a certain thing or how a history you have with it. And the thing you have with the feelings will override the facts and any information that comes along to contradict it. And that's why I try to approach the things the way that I do, because my hope is that there are a lot of things out there that are harmful in the world in general. There are a lot of views that people hold that are harmful to other people, harmful to, there are people who are, they look down upon other groups of people, or they think that they are, their way is the best way and nobody else should ever have a say. And to get past some of that stuff, if you can look at those things from a different angle, and if you can use a situation in a video game, if somebody's familiar with the video game, and you can take a situation from that and you can show why this scenario is wrong, the hope is that person would say, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. And this lines up. So that's one of the hopes and goals that I've had. And so far, I don't know that it's made any difference. I don't know. I've had a few people over the year, a little over a year, that have commented saying that, I changed their view of a particular character, or I changed their view of a particular game or situation, that maybe look at things a little bit differently. Nobody has said, nobody has outwardly that I changed their opinion on something or this or that or the other. And I don't necessarily expect that. But that's not been a thing. So I don't know how effective that has been from that perspective for that series. Now, I bring this up because this is something that's really important to me. I made a video a couple weeks ago talking about how I'm autistic. And the way that I view the world, the way that I see things, I tend to hone in on specific things. And I get really frustrated when I feel like I'm being misunderstood or misinterpreted. That's happened throughout my entire life. There have been so many times in my life, whether it's jobs where I've had a boss that has thought that I was like trying to, they thought I was trying to be difficult when all I was actually trying to do was just make sure I completely understood the situation or whatever he needed done. And I've had situations throughout my life, and I've tried masking, and sometimes the masking works, but it doesn't always work. But situations where I will say something that may be a little too straightforward, or maybe somebody takes the wrong way. And I can never really be sure if they took it the wrong way or not, unless they say something. And then sometimes they'll say something and they'll get mad at me because I said, oh, how dare you say this, whatever it happens to be. I'm like, no, I didn't mean it that way. I was just trying to, I was being matter of fact about the situation, or I was just. So when it comes to seeing comments on videos where my intention was one thing and somebody got angry and left an angry, mean, horrible comment because they didn't understand my intention, the fact that I'm being misunderstood, that's frustrating. I don't take it personally, because if I did, I couldn't I couldn't be a YouTuber if I took comments personally. So it's not a personal thing that they might mean it personally, but I don't take it personally. The frustrating part to me is the fact that I meant this, you saw this, and instead of just trying to asking, hey, did you actually mean this? People will just say, oh my God, I can't believe you, it's one of those things that just annoys the hell out of me. And as I'm saying that, even my mind goes to the thought of the labels and people like to stick on it. It goes back to, I should have said this when we were talking about the political stuff, but when people will say, On the Batman video last week, somebody had said something about you're just mad because Batman doesn't ascribe to your liberal ideas or whatever. It was really stupid, but like, no, I'm not mad. I don't hate Batman. Somebody even said that it was just another video of hating on the billionaire Batman or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm in these videos. When I'm breaking things down, when I'm talking about character stories, when I'm tying things in with the real world, it's never coming from a place of hatred or anger. I don't hate the games. I don't hate the characters. Even when I covered Life is Strange, as much as that game frustrated the hell out of me, and as much as I had a lot of critique about it, I didn't hate the game. You know, I thought it was kind of fun at times, and I enjoyed some of the characters. But to hear some of the people that commented on it, people that loved the game and thought that I was just hating on their game, it was like, you would have thought that I had like taken the game out back and beat it with a bat, which I didn't. I'm never trying to do. And that's probably the biggest thing I should probably get across here is that I'm not trying to take down these games. I'm not going after them. In fact, I'm usually just ignoring the lore and the canon because, again, that stuff doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things when I'm using them as thought experiments. I'm not hating on the games. Even when I talk about the writing, where I think the writing could have been better. The Walking Dead is a great example, right? I covered the entirety of The Walking Dead, save for Michonne, the DLC that we're going to be doing on the live stream coming up. And throughout that game, I had a lot of times where I was talking about how pissed off I was about this or that or the other. The end of season 4, how angry I was with what they did with Clementine, with pretending to kill her and bringing her in, and she turned out to live. Like all of that. I still love that game. It's a fun game to play. I like the Walking Dead universe in general as a concept. I like the game. It's a lot of fun. I've played it multiple times. I wouldn't talk about it on the channel at all if I didn't like it. And I know that there have been people out there that have misinterpreted that, and when I have talked about certain aspects, and there are people that legitimately think that I don't like this character or this game or that game because of the things that I say. And I'm here to say, for anybody that watches this in the future, if you get this far, it's not the case. I don't hate games. I don't hate people. I don't hate characters. I am just calling things out the way that I see them. I'm calling them out in a new and interesting way. At least I think it's interesting. A way that nobody else has done before. Because go search YouTube. I tried. I could not find a single other channel doing anything like what I'm doing with these games with the Philosophy and Ethics series. Even the Friend or Foe series is something completely unique. And to have those series up and then to have people misinterpret because of other series they've seen on other channels, or they have a set opinion and that opinion won't change, and they assume that anybody that is talking down about something hates something, you know, that is a frustrating thing at times, and really just that's really all I wanted to get out about this. It's something that's been bugging me for the last week. I'm not good at some of these things. I can sit here and talk for hours about philosophy. I can talk for hours about ethical situations and rewrites and that kind of stuff. When it comes to talking about this kind of more personal stuff, it's a little bit more difficult for me because, like, for this series, I don't script these videos out. I just talk about whatever happens to be bothering me, and that's been bothering me all week to the point where I've had some really low moments. I was on the verge of like just saying screw it and getting rid of the Philosophy and Ethics and Game series completely, and just saying, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just going to completely switch to something else. I'm not really going to do that. But the one thing I am going to do moving forward, and I should talk about this real quick, a little bit off topic. So, you know, if you enjoyed the video at this point and that's all you wanted to hear, hey, thank you. Like the video, subscribe, walk away, go watch something else if you'd like to. But something else that I'm planning on doing on the channel moving forward is more sit down, talk about this kind of stuff, but I'm also going to be going out. Recently, I put up, I made public some videos that used to be private on the channel. They were unlisted, actually. They were the videos. So when I started this channel, it started out as a channel where I would go out to cemeteries and sit down and just talk about random shit. And that was fun. And then my wife got involved, and it was even more fun, but it wasn't getting anywhere. No traction, right? Nobody cared to watch that stuff, or it wasn't interesting enough to click on. I'm not, whatever the reasons might be. At some point in the near future, I'm going to start doing unscripted videos every once in a while in that fashion, where my wife and I will go out, because I want to get her involved, because she enjoys sharing her opinion about things. She's very opinionated, and she loves to talk about stuff from a certain angle. So I want to try to get her involved sometimes. I'm going to be going out and doing videos and talking a little bit about time my photography and with games and that kind of stuff, because I'm a photographer as a hobby. I've been a photographer for years. I was trying to be a professional photographer for a while, but that doesn't really pay as well. So I'm going to be sharing some of my photography from time to time on here and talking about that, and kind of like linking all of that stuff in, while continuing the philosophy and ethics series, while on occasion continuing the friend or foe series, depending on my schedule and that kind of thing. So that's what you can look forward to moving forward. And because realistically, y'all, YouTube is a pain in the ass, and it is hard to grow. It is hard to get an audience. It is hard to get any kind of traction. The little bit of traction that I've gotten so far has been on the Walking Dead stuff, which is all fine, great, and wonderful, except that like 90% of the people that watch the Walking Dead stuff only wanted to see more Walking Dead stuff. And I like the Walking Dead, but I'm not a fanatic for it. I'm not I would get bored as hell covering nothing but the Walking Dead. So I got to put some other stuff in there. So over time, yeah, I'll be talking about the show as well. I'll be talking more about the game and other aspects, although I've covered a lot of it so far. But I'm going to be branching out and covering other things. You know, we're currently doing the Batman series and the philosophy and ethics. We've got Cyberpunk 2077 is coming up for philosophy and ethics. That's going to be a really fun one to cover. I've got some other games on the back burner that I'm planning out for what the schedule is going to be like through the summer. But like, there's a lot of really fun stuff coming up. And if you enjoy it, if you like just the more laid back stuff, if you like one thing that I pride myself on is I don't involve AI in any process. I am real. This is me on the videos and wherever I go. I write my own scripts. I edit my own scripts. I do all of that. I manually edit my videos. I capture all of my own gameplay footage. So I'm trying to be. I think moving forward in the future, people seem to be looking for more authentic kind of stuff, and that's I've always been that way, and I'm just going to try to be more of that going forward, and try to broaden the horizons a little bit, and stop doing just like one or two individual things, because eventually something's got to pick up. Eventually something's got to get in traction, because I got to sustain myself, guys. Right now I'm living on ad revenue and patrons and channel members, which I'll put those up here. If you're interested in joining that thing, you get early access to videos and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm living off of right now, and I've got to make that work. I've got to make that count. And so I'm going to do the best I can. That being said, I think that's all I've got for this one. I just wanted to, it went a little longer than I expected it to, but I wanted to talk about the philosophy and ethics series because it's been a big series for me. I've enjoyed making it. I love making it. I'm going to continue making it as long as I can. But I need to get out there and talk a little bit more about what it is, because I think people are just really confused. And if I can help further that conversation and talk more about that kind of stuff and get people more used to the idea of talking about beyond the lore, beyond the canon, that's what I want to do. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.